Hello, welcome to the Optimum Training Session with myself, MarkHartwright. In this week, we're going to be looking at Smart Notebook and Smart Notebook 23, the latest version. And we're going to go into a bit of a detail of what are the new updates, why Smart Notebook, and some other bits and pieces within that as well as leaving some links to kind of dive into a bit more detail because it's a massive piece of software. So I'm just going to minimize that one and have Smart Notebook open. Now, when you open Smart Notebook, it's going to look like this. To actually open it itself, I'm going to go to a Start menu, scroll all the way down to where it says Smart Technologies, or of course you can just search for it. And then within there, you'll have lots of different things, and one of them is Smart Notebook. So that's down there. Now, of course, when you've opened it, it can be down here. Then you can click and hold, which is right-click. I can pin that to the taskbar, and I'm always going to have Smart Notebook there, so it's always going to be easy for me to access, which would be handy. Smart Notebook. Like I said, we're on version 23 now, and it's a massive piece of software. There's so much in it. I use this like pretty much every day. Well, I did use it every day, pretty much every lesson, to actually deliver the content with my learners, just because it was so engaging and it was so active, and I can have multiple children and myself all kind of coming and doing at the board, at the smart board with their bits and pieces here. So version 23, loads in it. It's a free download as well. So if I just jump to this here, Smart Notebook is free. So go download it. Let's just get a link to the page here just so you can see what it looks like. Not that one, this one here. So in this link here, again, I'll leave it below in the comments. There is a link to it here, and you can download Smart Notebook for free. Version 23, 23.1 now, I think we're on. Within that, you can download it on a personal machine. You can download it on school machines, wherever you want to do for there as well. If you are from the IT management side, there's the MSI file as well, so you can deploy it en masse, and then you're going to have that being able to use. Like I said, free to use, and it's designed to be working on a smart board. If you've got a board that's not a smart board, then you can still download it, you can still use it, but you're not going to have the same touch capabilities of that. That's if you're using somebody else's hardware with smart software, then you'll need to get a license to be able to use our smart software on somebody else's hardware as well. But if you are trying to get that mixed state, or something, or using that mixed state, you can do that as well for there as well. So with that license itself here, you're going to access to Smart Notebook Plus. There's a couple of other bits and pieces in as well, not a lot to be honest. And then you're going to also get access to Lumio as well. So you will have that as part of that subscription for that as well. And then there's an online version of it all. There's more. I'll leave a link to it in the comments there, but there's loads more stuff within Lumio. And loads of support online, or just leave a comment and I'll get back to you about Lumio. So Smart Notebook is free, and you've also got access to Smart Exchange, where there's loads of online lessons already pre-made. You can download and you can use those straight away, straight from in the page, straight from online, straight from in Smart Notebook itself here. So very, very briefly, Smart Notebook itself is your front of class whiteboarding software for Windows and for Mac as well. So you're going to have 20 points of touch on Windows, 20 points of touch on Mac, and that's across the smart board. I think the 6000S, the top range one, 30 points of touch as well, but you're going to have lots more than enough for elbow room as well. Like I said, that's Windows and Mac as well. If you are looking to set it up on a Mac and it's not quite working right, there might be a few settings. Again, I'll leave a link to that in the chat as well, just to get those settings sorted. And that can be deployed across everybody for that as well. Now, there are a few things extra, a few things new within Smart Notebook 23. We're going to just dive into a bit more detail of those bits there. We'll look at the aspect ratio and the tools in a moment. Just the main thing with version 23 is this big security update here. Really important, that one there. So because there's been such a big change back end, actually as of the end of the year, 23, depending on when you're watching this. If you're using a version older than that, you're going to have a big pop-up message just to say, please upgrade. This is really important. We're stopping their use of the older ones as well. So do upgrade. Do make sure you're on the latest one. So you're going to get those features as well as keeping yourself protected for everything like that as well. So it's really important to get that up to date. There's also a way you can share directly to Lumio. So I can click on share. Straight from the menu here, file share, I can share this file straight into Lumio. So if I'm transitioning those files, really simple way of doing that itself here. And of course, there's no watermark as well. So in the past, there's been a watermark when you're using it on this panel or not that one, plugged in, not plugged in. It all got very confusing and didn't quite The feedback was awful, so we've changed it, luckily. So the watermark is completely gone. If you're using it on a smart display, there's no watermark, it works brilliantly. If you're using it on a non-smart display, that's when you have a license and it will all work absolutely fine. And of course, if you're using it unplugged to prepare that content or anything like that, you can use that as normal anyway for that there. Right, let's jump into a little bit more detail about actually what's new and why we should really upgrade to version 23. So the aspect ratio itself, let's just start there before we go into the ready-made tools. Let's just start that with a blank page. Now, in older versions of Smart Notebook, you kind of got the two grey columns down the side and a bit of a skinny page at the beginning. What we've done now is made it the proper aspect ratio for the proper size screen. 16 by 9, so it really does fill the whole screen itself here. I've got my files, my slides down the side here. If I just want to hide those, you can see that page then takes up the whole estate of the screen. Great for really that big real estate, getting multiple users really good and using it on the display here. I've got these tools down the side here. I can just press this button here and flip them over to here. And I can press that again and bring it back there, depending on where you want to do them, depending which way the side of the room you're teaching on. That could be done there. Equally the same, the panel at the top, all your tools and everything there can be brought down to the bottom. Me being a former primary school teacher, I kind of thought, well, when they're down there, the children can reach them and use them. And then when they want them out of use, out of reach at the top there for most of the children. Coming across a lot of secondary schools, actually, they prefer to have it at the bottom here. So you've got that more real estate at the top here, so you can see that and kind of really show to the whole class from that there. But your choice. I'm just going to pop them back at the top, just because that's what I'm used to. And then clicking on the slides here, I can auto hide, turn that off, so I can see that page there. So great aspect ratio for that itself. Now, what I can also do is you might see there's no extend page at the bottom down here as well. Initial thought, but actually, if I insert a blank page but make it a large page, you can see here that what I can actually do is to make the squares the right size, and then within that, I can scroll to the top, have my writing on here, but then as I scroll down the page, I can then continue going down here, and I can make that extended page as long as I want. In fact, if I was to zoom in the first place a bit more, I've got that really big page there. Actually great for using that extended page. You've got a really long calculation you just need to carry on with rather than starting a whole new page. But actually the way that works is that when you are saving it, if I zoom out for that as well, it's going to keep that aspect ratio. So it's going to keep that 16 by 9. So if I'm printing off, it will maintain that. If I'm sharing it with anybody afterwards, it's going to maintain that 16 by 9 ratio. So it plays with other things as well, rather than going into, that extended page, I used to use it, but I ended up with a really, really skinny page and I couldn't really see what was going on within it as well. So that's a much better design for that extended page, but just in a different way of doing it. Insert blank page and then a large page there as well. So a great way to do that itself. So that's that 16 by 9 aspect ratio. Also, there's new templates and stuff down the side here in your gallery. So if you click on the gallery itself, I've already filled this gallery with lots of different bits and pieces. If you've seen any of these videos, you've probably seen me use a coins and number lines itself there. But whatever you would like to do within here, some of the smart monsters I've saved within here, maybe some quick boxes to add that one, a sorting activity within there. There's some number lines, all those different bits and pieces that I can add to within there as well. Copy and paste an image, drag and drop it, and you can save and you can kind of create your own My Content within that side there. What's new in Notebook 23 is one of these boxes down here called Ready-Made Resources. And within that, there's loads of great templates, something like a blank 100 square. If you've used the Android unit built into the smartboards, the IQ unit, if you're familiar with that, then all of these templates are in there, and now they're also in Smart Notebook as well, which is really handy. So things like the brainstorming activity straight within Notebook. It might be a circle map. It might be, what else can we look for? The Freya model, handwriting houses, loads and loads of different ones in there. I've got 100 charts with these different boxes at the top down here. I can drag these into there. So some really good ways to actually engage with that content on that large screen. Yes, you can do it in the IQ unit. Yes, you can do it in Lumio, but they're now kind of everything together, and that is now within Smart Notebook version 23 as well. So some great new features within that as well. There's the larger page, the aspect ratio itself. Obviously, it's optimized for 4K to support as well. I'm just going to jump in to look at these tools. So all your tools and stuff are along the top. You might have used some of these pens here, shape pen, text pen, crayon, highlighters, bits and pieces within that as well. You can add in different fonts, you can add different lines, different shapes, all that's at the top there. But I'm just going to come over to here because there's some maths tools over there. And then these maths tools, it might be, for example, a ruler. I can move around within there and obviously just use it like a ruler. Let's just pinch that, move that there. So I can kind of begin to construct that line itself. And then I can add in that protractor, move it around and manipulate that. So I can click on it, I can measure the angle, chuck that angle out on all those bits and pieces using that protractor as well, which is really handy. And they've been remade to be able to be used a lot more intuitively rather than the old way of doing it. So great ways to do that as well. So overall, there's lots of different bits and pieces like that. It's a free download. You might as well have the latest software. And again, the whole important thing with version 23 are these new security updates for itself, really enhanced data protection. So what I will say is with all those enhancements, with all the build within Notebook and that back-end change, there are certain things that haven't quite come across to the latest version spot on. So if you do find anything that you think that's not quite working right, or in the older version it wasn't quite working right, two things, please let us know. I'll leave a link to the user voice below, please pop it in there, and that really informs the developers of what we need to build on to make this an even better piece of software. But in the short term, until we get those fixes there, what you can do is click on View and click Open in Smart Notebook 22. So as you open it in Smart Notebook 22, it just uses exactly the same stuff. And if there's a particular feature that's not quite working the way you want it to do, you can open it in that version and then it'll revert back to the previous version and you'll be good to go within that itself. Whilst we get all those little bits and pieces kind of ironed out within there as well. So like I said, Smart Notebook, free download, you're good to go with that. If you want any more training, any more support with it itself, there's a link at the top here saying help. And then it's Smart Notebook Training. This page is a great page for getting you up and started. How can I create some content, enhance it, make it more engaging, deliver that content to my learners, and then share it as well. And then each part here is broken into a bit more detail of a learn guide, a watch guide for each of these sections. As you can see, they kind of they work through that whole place there. Another great link to go to the download page. This one here is the teacher guide. So every single part, there's how do I do that bit? How do I do that bit? And as it works through, there's all the stuff you want to know within Notebook. Like I said, there's loads of stuff within there and it all really comes into context and really kind of walks you through each one of these guides here. I will also leave this link here. If you do want any more training support, this is just a page of where can I find some stuff here. So we've looked at the next step guide. There's also a guide about the Notebook guide if you want everything. There's the download page and that's all under this Notebook column here as well. If you do want to know more about the IQ unit, that Android unit, there's some really useful links within this and here. Or if you want to know about more Lumio, there's some more stuff here. That's the online version. There's some more training support here as well. Obviously, just feel free to leave comments in the chat. I'll get back to you as can. My email address is in there as well. Feel free to add any support for that. And also within that, there is a link to Smarts Academy, a great place to go to learn this in a bit more very interactive and engaging course. And then you're going to get a certification and email badges and things like that within that there as well. And then there's any more technical support as well. If you are looking for online demos, there's a couple of links with that as well. But the one we've looked at today is that Notebook, really getting that up and going for there as well. So thanks for spending the time learning a little bit more about Smart Notebook version 23. Hopefully that's been useful. Hopefully it's been a bit of an appetite to really get going with this and learn some more stuff and actually use it as an engaging interactive tool rather than just a big screen for that as well. For that great whiteboarding software on your Windows or your Mac machine. So any other questions, any other comments, please put them below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But thanks for your time. Hopefully speak to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.